Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this narration of the book A Brood of Two, taken from Reddit. If you're new to the series, there is a playlist listed down below, and as always, I hope that you enjoy. Chapter 9, Role Reversal. Vesh checked the firing mechanisms on his repeating heavy rifle, whilst his comrades bantered with one another. He savoured the small hint of anticipation, listening keenly to the rumbling of the shuttle's engines as the craft dived through the planet's atmosphere. "Can you stop gritting, Vesh? You are gonna make the other lads crap themselves at this rate," a scarred and withered housecar gestured. The thumb of the three-fingered hand pointed backwards towards the rest of the landing party. Vesh only grinned wider, the carmine-coloured scales of the sickeningly wide crocodilian jaws being pulled taut by his facial muscles. His eyeless head turned to glare at the startled crewmates around him, each only being half his size. The forms of the Yili and the kangaroo-like Churka shuddered under his gaze. The pits under his nostrils picked up the warmth of the pitiful companions. Vesh turned to face the Halkaza again. "Last thing I need is this place smelling worse than it already does," Vesh chided, his voice deep and rumbling baritone. He folded his upper pair of arms over his stocky body, resting the gun on his shoulder. He pointed with his free hand at his friend. "But nah, Cran, the smile is staying. You know, it's very Draktar dream to hunt something as dangerous as the bleak scales back home." Cran waved his hand to dismiss his large companion as he shouldered his sonic rifle. Yeah, I've heard it from you 100 times already, Rotbreath. It's been a week already, and you still won't bloody shut up about your fabled chance to hunt the Chaks warrior. "Are you talking about fighting the Chaks again, Draktar?" the Yili asked, poking his head around the doorframe. "I didn't pay you to yap enough to make me want to put a gun in my mouth when I'm around you." Vesh let out a deep chuckle. "Call it enthusiasm for my job, Captain Nathion. Temper it then, we've picked up the next nothing on our scanners. We're here to see who's sending the SOS, loot some buildings and nothing more." "Yes, boss," he grumbled. After a few more minutes, the shuttle ground to a halt, resting in the center of a wide roadway. Vesh was the first out the door. His thick legs eagerly propelled his bulk straight off the craft as the loading ramp came down. The multiple barrels of his weapon spun to life as Vesh charged out into the beating sun. The atmosphere burned his nostrils as the Draktar breathed deep. The serpentine tongue lashed out to taste the air, finding little to his liking. Nothing but old meat." "What do you expect?" Cran chided him. "If we didn't pick anything up on the simple scans, what the hell do you think was going to meet us?" "I don't know. Anything. Don't want to be caught with my pants down is all." Cran winced briefly as he strode into the sunlight, the warm beams of light reflected by the dull brown of the scarred keratin plates of his carapace. "Your pants are already down. You're an idiot, Vesh." "This is Eagle Eye to Grasshopper. Coming, Grasshopper. Over." "Why are we using more nicknames, Eagle Eye? Over." "Tradition, Grasshopper. I have eyes and contacts. They are armed and probably hostile. Over." Samantha could faintly hear a sigh from Bitey's end of the radio. "Confirmed, Eagle Eye. Do you know what the contacts are? Over." "Grasshopper, I see 5 contacts. 2 Yili, a furry mammal with big ears and jumpy legs, and—" She beheld the group from over a vantage point. The building was some kind of shopping establishment, now only a burnt-out skeleton with the upper 2 stories crushed under the bulk of a lifeless Chak's battlesuit. Samantha peeked out from underneath the head of the construct and peered through the ancient telescope. Although entirely unexpected, Sam was fairly overjoyed to have found an antique store still in one piece. It made her feel like an old-timey explorer. She scanned the landing site as briefly as possible. The form of the humanoid stood out first, along with a head covered in many small protrusions like a miniature antennae. Altogether, it looked like a horrific hybrid between an armadillo, a catfish, and a goat. Van Halkazar, there are also 4 armed red reptilian with no eyes. They're big. There's a Draktar, Grasshopper to Eagle Eye. The reptilian is to be considered high-level threat. Please monitor them closely. Over. Eagle Eye to Grasshopper. The Draktar is on the move, heading towards my location. I might need to, Hold on, Grasshopper. He stopped. The Draktar is on the move again, heading towards your location. Stay hidden as you can. Over. Well, this isn't great, Samantha muttered to herself. Not for you, at least, a familiar raspy voice said from behind her. Something tastes different. Vesh licked the air again for good measure. It was definitely there. Something mammalian had been through the area. It was decently fresh, unlike the week-old bodies. Maybe only a few hours. His brain began to trace the path of the creature as more chemicals were detected. It kept going for a few hundred meters that way, he deduced. Cran, I'm going to have a wander. I'll be back before we leave. Oh, for the love of... if you're chasing some rodent again, I swear I'll make you deaf. Don't piss off too far. Vesh gave him an affirmative wave as he made his way down the street. Whatever this mammal was, it gave off a lot of pheromones. He'd never tracked something like it before. It seemed large, perhaps a survivor. There was something else that he could not pick up as he took a few more paces, following the faint trail of chemicals as they were picked up by the chemoreceptors on his tongue. Was it a second one of its kind? Vesh tilted his head to the side, facing a storage vicinity. The first scent trail was leading to some place further away, but the faint second one led right here. He'd check it for a second. Not wasting his spare moments on the planet, he rushed over to the warehouse doors and pried them open. They withstood his strength only a few seconds before bending under the onslaught of his hands. Instinctively, Vesh tasted the air and the pitch-dark environment inside the building. To his delighted surprise, there was a taste that he very much liked. A grin spread across his face once more. Vesh took a confident step into the wide-open spaces of the warehouse, reaching back to close the doors and shroud the environment in cloying darkness. The sounds of metal scraping against metal resonated through the chamber. His specialized ears deciphered the sounds, allowing him to make the shapes of his surroundings. Several emptied shipping containers of various shapes and sizes took up most of the space. A few support beams near the ceiling kept the structure up. His split organs detected that some room was far colder than it should be in such weather. There's something stopping solar radiation getting in. It would probably stop scans too. Clever. You are just what I've been looking for. With a single motion, the Draktar cast his repeating rifle to the floor. With his free arms, he reached behind his back to pull out a pair of ornate scimitars. I don't know if you can understand me, but I am Vash Taldrak, and I've come for you. Long have I waited to find something that can challenge one of my kind in the dark. Come! There was no response. He paced forward a few more steps. Don't play coy now. I can taste you. You are in here. Come, kill me. We both know you stand a better chance of surviving if you try and kill me with a blade than a gun. Don't want my friends running in now, do you? I think we both know it. Vash continued to survey the room. All his senses attuned to the cool darkness his kind were evolved to reside within. He pressed on, leaping up onto a large crate, continually tasting the air as he went. It's very close now. Where are you, Butte? From across the room, a metal container was flung at him. The clang of claws on metal reached his ears just in time to allow him to intercept the 8-foot box before it crashed into his head. The clacking of talons on the floor alerted him to the rapid approach of his quarry. Vesh cackled with unrestrained mirth as he hoisted the caught container over his head and launched it at his monstrous assailant. At the speed as he was traveling, the image of his heat was blurry, but there was no doubt what it was. Wiry framed, taloned forelimbs, forelegs, and massive severing mandibles. The crate slammed into the floor, the attack dodged by the chacks. Vesh leapt down to meet the charging warrior. Forged blades met biomechanic talons, briefly revealing the forms of the combatants to each other as their weapons rang and sparked against each other in the pitch darkness. Vesh backpedaled as Bitey swung to sever one of Vesh's hands, the strike meeting a parry from a scimitar. Vesh swung the opposing blade out towards the Chax's head. The sword dug into a mandible, breaking and severing off half of it. This piece clattered to the floor alongside a few yellow drops of blood. He drew his sword back in anticipation to block a blow from the Chax's other arm. A blow, to his surprise, that never appeared. Vesh lunged forward to exploit the opening in the reading warrior's guard. Bitey responded by launching himself backwards to create more space between them. Vesh ground his feet into the ground to halt his momentum as he observed Bitey in his entirety. He held up his free hands and snarled. Bitey was stunned for a moment as the unexpected wave of pheromones hit his senses. His mirth had turned to annoyance. Okay, time out, Vesh snarled. Where the hell is your other arm? End of chapter. Just a quick shout out to the T5 peeps. Bob the Dragon, Cat Crab Lobster, Data Magnet, Dark Machine, Bezic, Try Again 95, Fudic Yol, Astrea the Dreamer, Casper Arnholtz, Cam Maxwell, Ithilia, Meridian 117, and Jordan Bucksmorm. Thank you very much. And that, my friends, concludes this video. I hope that you enjoyed. There are links down below, both to support this channel and for the author of this fiction. Anyways, I hope you all have a fantastic one, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.